So the downtown of any small city, especially here in Lake Worth, is the lifeblood of the city. It's where our culture lives, it's where our identity thrives, it's where us as residents live, work, and play. So it's incredibly important and integral to our city, and especially going forward into the future with our city. That being said, all downtowns have some share of their problems, and we're no exception. We've all noticed a lot of the empty storefronts in and around the downtown corridor. What I'd like to do is take a look at why those storefronts are empty, but more importantly, what are some of the things that the city could be doing to get those storefronts filled? We can start here. We can start with what we know about what businesses want when they're choosing a new location. So what businesses always look to first and foremost is access and parking, okay? So making sure that it's easy to get into and out of the downtown corridors, and making sure that there's good wayfinding so the person who's driving through knows where they're going, and making sure that parking is addressed. As your city commissioner for District 4, one of my top priorities is going to be planning for a parking plan. So what this means is this encompasses not just parking lots and parking structures, but a couple of other things as well. Dealing with residential parking and putting in a permitting system to make sure that our residents downtown always have a place to park, because they do come first. Secondly, looking at parking wayfinding, so making sure that wayfinding is in place. What this means is just a fancy sign, it's just a fancy name for signage. So making sure that anybody who's unfamiliar with the area knows where to go and how to get there. Third thing, looking at some sort of a structured parking garage. There is a way to do this to where it limits the cost to the city. We don't necessarily have to make this big monstrous, ugly parking garage that goes tall. We can stay low, we can go wide, and there's plans and areas where we can put this in. Look, we may not think that we have a parking problem in downtown, and that's because we as residents bike downtown, we walk downtown. Me personally, I'm on a moped, so I just ride my moped downtown, so we don't necessarily see it. But the business owners, I guarantee you do, and I know because I've walked into these stores along the Ave and I've talked to the business owners, and I know that they have it. Moving on to some other solutions and some other things that we can do. The city, I'd like to see the city come together under a mobility plan for downtown. So walkability and mobility, putting that first. And very specifically, I'd like to use some portion of the penny sales tax dollars to improve our unimproved dirt alleyways leading into and out of our city. What we can do is put down a permeable surface, some paint, light it up, beautify it, and we now have walkable, bikeable trails going into and out of our city. I'd also like to see the alleyway on J Street connect across Dixie and over to Matthews Brewing, where that entire industrial area is too, because that's an incredible opportunity for our city going forward. So that's my plan there. I'd also like to take a look at rate parity as well. So what I mean by rate parity is with our electric utility system, we've achieved rate parity, and I should say the city commission has achieved rate parity for the residential side, which means that we cost as much as or a little bit less than FPL on a per kilowatt hour. We haven't done that on the commercial side, and that's something that we have to take into consideration. Businesses care about accessibility, but they also care about making sure that there's enough people to frequent their business, and they also, of course, look at numbers and make sure that they know what their costs are going to be going forward in. And if we've got commercial electric rates that are higher than other cities, that's going to be hard for us to compete with other cities. Last thing, we have to make sure that we are welcoming new people into our city. Our downtown businesses have been relying on us as residents to patronize them and keep them busy. And that's a great thing, and we do a really great job of shopping local and getting out into our small businesses and eating and drinking at the businesses downtown. And that's really good, that's really important, but it may not be enough. And we have to make sure that we're bringing people into our city. So making sure that there's enough housing stock available in and around the downtown where people can buy some new apartments or new places to live. Making sure that we're also, though, focusing on tourism and getting our fair share of the tourism pie. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen until we have a hotel in our city. And that's a whole other conversation for another video. But making sure that we are welcoming tourists, not repelling them. That's incredibly important. So those are my priorities when it comes to downtown. We have to see our downtown thriving, and the city can be doing more to ensure that we are doing our part to invite and incentivize new businesses to come into downtown.